2. Okay, sounds good. Let me get back on.
Do a lead in first.
Yeah. Right. Get that going. All right. It's really silly. ChatGPT told me to do that so it has a spike to overlay on the layers. And then once you kind of sync up all the layers, then you can start cutting and it pulls everything together.
Nice.
And I was like, okay. So with like 3 different cameras all starting different audio sequences at the exact same time, how do you sync them all together? Well, you clap really loudly. Nice. And that gives you 1 point to go, then you can cut it out. All right.
You want to do lead in or me?
You can go for it. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Matthew Bullis, Derek's dad, and today's topic is how to go to Europe for 7 to 8 weeks, and how do you schedule that. We typically go to Europe every year for 6-7 weeks, and we do not use a guide service. We do it all ourselves, traveling through Europe using planes, trains, automobiles, buses, pretty economically, in my opinion. And how we do it. So today's topic is Europe on a budget. So anyways, quick background. We've done 6 trips in the last 6 years, and they average for between 30 days, and this last one was 7 weeks. And we have primarily gone to Europe. Well, I shouldn't say that. We've exclusively gone to Europe, and the countries we've traveled to have been France, Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, Croatia, Italy. Those are primarily the countries that we've gone to. And this is how we do it. We basically, how do you set up and how to schedule something for a 7-week trip? Well, you start with where you want to go. And so we have a list of projects or areas that we like to go. And I typically will put them on my phone under maps, and I have found areas over the time period where I want to go, and I will add those to my phone, and I'll pin them. So when I look at my phone, I have various pins all over my phone showing where my wife and I have determined we want to go. And so that's what we do, and then we try to figure out where's the schedule, where do you want to go, what country you want to go to, and what's the destination point. So let's take Italy, for example. Do you want to go northern Italy, southern Italy? Do you want to where do you want to start and finish, where you're flying into, and where you're going to exit. So we've typically have flown in many times to Milan, and we primarily use the train network. So we really like the trains in Italy. We like the trains, Eurail trains all over. So we don't like to drive as much. It's pretty crazy to drive, even though I've driven all through Croatia in the past, and I've driven in Italy numerous times, but we would prefer to use the trains. So that's what we do. Once you've designated your spots and which travel from point A to B, then you try to line them up. Do you want to do a concentric loop? Do you want to start in a town, go all the way through and finish? I don't find that good for resources. I like to start in A, work my way down to the end, and then fly out of there. So let's take a typical project where travel. Let's say fly into Milan. We've done this. Fly into Milan. Take the trains over various to Venice, and then work down through the spine of Italy to Florence, and fly out on Rome. We've done that a couple of times, and with that, there's lots of places you can go along the way. So once we have our basic map, then we try to look at the days we need to spend at each site, and work our way through, and that's what we do.
Yeah. Kind of create like a little highlight reel of list of things you want to do.
Yeah, last year's trip we spent 30 days. Let's talk about last year. Last year's trip, we did 30 days working our way through Italy, and then we jumped on a 2-week cruise through Greece. So last year's trip, we went into Milan, and then from Milan, I used as a base, and we would take the
Milan is
northern Italy.
northern. Okay.
And then we would use Milan to go to the lake districts. One day we went to Lake Maggiore, another day we went to Lake Como, another day we went to, I'm forgetting the name of it, I wish I had my map in front of me. And then we went to the third lake, that's a good thing. And then from there we spent about 4 or 5 days, and 4 or 5 days in Milan, and then we took the train out to the Cinque Terre, and we stayed in La Spezia area for 3 or 4 days. And from there, we could take the train down into the 5 lands: Riomaggiore, Manarola, Cornelia.
Keep talking.
And then from La Spezia, we went back up to Florence. Just joking. And at Florence, we spent 4 or 5 days in Florence. And then from Florence, we went to a couple of days in Siena. And then after Siena, I'm looking at my map, excuse me. From Siena, we went to Oviedo. Really liked Oviedo, used that as a base station. And then from Oviedo, we ended up with 4 or 5 days back in Rome. It's our second time we were in Rome. So from Milan to Rome was 30 days. And then from after Rome, we took a 2-week cruise through the Greek Isles. So that was pretty easy. So where you want to go and what you want to do if you're using the train, it seems to work for us. So the trains are our primary source of travel, and buses. Oviedo, we use the trains to get to some of the other spots in the area we wanted to go to, and it's easy to get on a bus at most of these sites and work your way around. So that's what we do for travel.
Yeah.
Hotels.
Yeah, Europe's really nice because it's like any train station has like tons of train activity. Like that, if you look at the train activity at that town, there's just busy. Usually a couple pickups within the hour. Usually, obviously you can't tell where the destination for that train is going to go from that specific destination, but people are going anywhere and everywhere to every single little town. I remember my time in Spain, you would be able to hit every major town in the train network. So if it was like a certain size population, it had a train station you can take it to. Now that always led to like a lot of little itty bitty stops along the way, but yeah, it's really nice. Versus here in California, train doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't. It really doesn't go anywhere. And where do you get your apps? Well, I'm looking at my apps for my travel apps. And in particular, we have Rail Europe. If I'm outside of Italy, if we're in Switzerland, Croatia, we'll do Rail Europe. SBB Mobile we have, and also Trenitalia. Here's the Trenitalia app, and it will once you log in, it'll show you all your trains, and you can from there you can purchase your train tickets while in Italy, and it will show you the location, the start, stop on the train, when it's going to show up, and all the connection points. So in Italy, we use Trenitalia. In Europe, Austria, everywhere else, I use Rail Europe. And here's my Rail Europe app, and it'll pop up, and you can book rail passes and train passes, accept all cookies. And from there, you have your trains, and from there, we typically get a rail pass if we're in certain parts of Europe, or a Swiss rail pass if that's beneficial for us. You have to look at all that. So we do the rails, and it's helpful. Some parts of Europe, obviously some parts of Italy, are not serviced as much by the train, so you might rent a car, but the cars are expensive. Cars are 5 times more expensive than the train. And most of the places you want to go, you can also, once you get to those Italian spots, you can get access by bus. So the buses are a lot cheaper, and we go from there. So trains and buses. You can buy bus tickets before you get on the bus at the kiosk, or typically you can buy bus tickets from the bus driver. So that's sort of how we go.
Make it super convenient.
You can do Airbnbs. Airbnbs are great. They give you more space, but I find them they're more expensive if you stay less than 3 days. Our break-even point is about 4 days. If we're there less than 4 days, we typically will stay in a hotel. We like hotels for various reasons. I like a hotel if they have a person at the service desk. If you come in at night, there's somebody that can open the door. They have the keys.
The European concierge service is really good because most of them are all like multilingual too. So it's not confusing if you deal with the Airbnb host where there might be a language barrier. I've had that issue before.
And some hotels, the Italian hotels typically have a breakfast. I love the breakfast that's included, so I can get a nice early breakfast that's in part of the cost. Austria typically has breakfasts. Switzerland, yes and no. Some places in Switzerland include a breakfast. A lot of them don't. So, but I find in Austria and Italy at the hotels they do have mostly breakfasts included. So that's a big plus. I like that. And so you get a big breakfast and off there. Maybe you can skip lunch or have a light lunch and skip dinner and save you a little bit there. So that's the reason for hotels. I like a central location on a hotel, close to the transit facility, the rail facility, or the train. And I also like to have a place that's close to the downtown, close to the areas that I want to go. I usually go Milan downtown. If I go to Venice or Rome, it's downtown, and it just depends how far you are from the train / the metro. Obviously, Rome, you have a metro line. You come in, and then you can come in off the metro line or take a taxi from the airport. Airport from Rome is quite a ways away, so if you're in the airport there, I typically get a taxi service. You can take the bus service to get downtown.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the game we play.
Another little perk of like the concierge services is like, it depends on the culture. Sometimes people don't want to deal with it, but most of the countries I've been in there, the concierge service is nice enough. So you just have someone that you just go in, hey, can you order me a cab? And they'll, oh yeah, sure. Because when you don't know where your location's at, where the nearest cab service is, or if it's a walk, and they know people are going to get lost. Sometimes it's okay to walk around and get lost. I mean, that's my method too, but sometimes you just want to go to your destination, and so it's nice having someone there, again, 24/7, be like, hey, make that phone call, please. Really appreciate you.
And, cost-wise, 6-7 weeks, we don't scrimp at a lot of things, but 23-25 grand sounds like a normal cost associated with going for 7 weeks. We typically stay in 3-star hotels. I was in Paris, and I think we're at a 3-star.
Yeah.
About $185,000 a night. I was laughing. You can bust your budget, and your budget can be anywhere you want to be. I was noticing that the 5-star hotel for a single room was running around $2,400 a night. And I'm paying $185 for a 3-star. But you could go to the 5-star and pay $2,500 for the same thing. So it really depends on the accommodations you're looking for, what you're looking to do. I find that I always tell people, if you are going on a vacation in America, if you're going for longer than 3 weeks on a vacation and staying at hotels and renting a car. Let's say you left your car at home and you rented it to make apples and apples comparison. After 3 weeks on vacation in America, it's probably cheaper to fly out to Europe. It's that much cheaper. We find that Europe is cheaper than America in most of the countries. Switzerland's about equivalent. Switzerland's pretty pricey. I have not been to This year, maybe next year we'll go to Denmark, but if you go to Denmark, it's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
But definitely Switzerland's about the same as America. That said, a lot of countries are cheaper in Europe, depending on the country you go to.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper to go to Europe than at 3 weeks. Like I said before, if you're going for longer than 3 weeks in America for a trip, it's probably cheaper just to go to Europe.
Yeah, because your money goes further. I mean, hotels in America will eat up your money. That rental car or just driving places will eat up your money. Food will eat up your money pretty quick. But typically, food's pretty cheap. Travel, like the bus fares, the train tickets, those are all really, really affordable and cheap. The little knickknacks you buy, that all can be like really, really cheap. I've seen a lot of hotels being really, really cheap as well. I think the biggest bill would probably be that plane ticket, typically.
Yeah, I mean...
But then it's like it changes depending on your stay, too. You're like, if you're staying longer than a month, your plane ticket's your plane ticket.
Correct.
And obviously, hotels start eating into a big chunk the longer you stay there, but...
Yeah, the plane ticket, depending on what you get, I mean, how you fly, I mean... You can go as low as to Europe from SFO, probably 1,400 right now, and all the way up to 6,000 if you're first class.
Yeah.
You know, so the scale, you can probably 2,500 to 3,000 is probably. We typically go, we go economy. We go, we do upgrades for leg room, and so I don't know, 2,800 a ticket. But you can go as low as 1,300 and as high as, I think, 6. We don't fly first class, business class. We don't get the luxury of laying flat. So, but I think it was about 2,800, 3,000 round trip from SFO to Europe in particular and back. It depends. So it's a big expense, but the longer you go, it breaks it out. So food. You can get cheap if you have a continental breakfast in the morning that's included in your packet, and if you pack a lunch make a picnic for lunch, or go to some of the cheaper accommodations. There are cheaper accommodations. You don't have to hit a restaurant every meal. Yeah. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I remember in Spain, it's popular. It's the tapas.
Tapas.
Tapas is really popular staple of Spain. One little euro, one little coin and get you like a little plate. Now it's just like a little appetizer. I mean, when you measure it to American appetizer, a tapas is like a couple little pinches, bites of food. But when you're just sitting there relaxing, having a conversation with your family or your friends, and that's how they do it in these plazas, they get a little bit of coffee, they hang out for a couple hours, and then just get a little nibble foods. It's really cheap, like a couple bucks. Get themselves a coffee and hang out in the morning in a nice little. There's the Spanish chapel behind, and you get the sea air coming through the town. It's a horrible experience. Having cheap food, nice relaxing environment, nice and quiet.
Yeah, and I haven't been to Spain, so I haven't been to the tapas bars.
Yeah, but Italy's gonna have like that same vibe going.
They don't have the tapas. But that's something that's inclined towards Spain. But yeah, they have little menu items, and you can sip a glass of wine and order little hors d'oeuvres as you go, and it's pretty cheap. But I don't find, well, it just depends on where you go. Once again, depends on what you go. I find it more expensive to go to America to dinner than I can in a lot of Italian restaurants. I believe it or not, I have a great Italian restaurant. I go to Paris. I've been to Paris 2-3 times. We keep going to the same Italian restaurant. My best Italian restaurant I found is in Paris. But I can get out of there 2 meals, a drink each, an hors d'oeuvre, and a little limoncello, and maybe 50 euros out the door, 55 for two. Depending on what it is. Prices change, but it's hard for me to go out anywhere in America for 50 bucks. Now, euros
about wine and
euros are more
dinner,
expensive you can't compare it. Euros are 10% more typically than 55 euros is equivalent to maybe $70 American US dollar because of the interest. So yeah, maybe $70 for a dinner. So it depends. But you can go cheap. You can eat street food depending on where you want. You can share a meal. You don't have to have the big meal. You can share little bits in them. So we do enjoy it. I do a lot of landscape photography, so I like to take pictures of very picturesque things. And so off we go. Italy's got a lot of picturesque antiquities that we enjoy. The lake districts are wonderful. We particularly love Switzerland and the Jungfrau district. So a lot of pretty, and so that's what we go for. We go for the very interesting, pretty locations.
Mom loves my tagline.
What's your tagline?
Oh, when she's watching her Switzerland YouTube clips and stuff, and it's just always the panoramic of the mountains and like the little cottage village, and the person comes out with their coffee on the balcony, and it's just straight up mountains and ice and rocks and crags, and people out in their hiking parkas and climbing these green hills in the summer and a little snowy, enjoying the winter air and stuff like that. And I'm always like, it looks hideous. Why don't you ever want to go there? That's
Hideous.
my running joke.
So we talked about last year's trip, which was 6 weeks, mostly Italy and a cruise through the Greek Isles. This year's trip was 7 weeks, and basically we stopped in Paris for 3 days. We like to get off the plane. My back hurts after a while, so we will typically jump off on a key location. I like Paris. This is the second time we were there, so we were there for 3 days, and they have a lot of sites in Paris. It's hard to go to Paris. I think even in a week you can't see all the antiquities. So we like to go to Paris. After 3 days, this time we saw the Notre Dame Cathedral that was open, and other antiquities and art museums. And then we jumped on the plane and we went to Budapest. We stayed 4 days in Budapest, met friends there. Garrick Davis is an old friend of mine that plays guitar there, and so we had dinner with Garrick and his wife, Shoshana, and we spent 4 days in Budapest seeing the sights. Then from there we took the train from Budapest to Vienna, 3 or 4 days in Vienna.
Yeah.
Then we went through the spine of Austria, and we went through, Sound of Music land, I forget the name of it, and Innsbruck, and also the other town, a couple of days each. Then we rented a car for 4 days, went to the northern Italian district, and went up to Dobbiaccio, stayed 4 days, and went up to some of the great hiking areas, Trecime in particular, and some of those areas around the Trecime area. Took the car back after 4 days, drove to Innsbruck, and then worked our way around through, we went to Fusen for a couple of days, and we went to the castle area, Neuschwanz Castle, then worked our way up to the Rhine Falls area, I think it was Strasbourg, a few days Strasbourg, picked my sister Anne up in...
Which country?
It was in Switzerland. Strasbourg's in Switzerland, and we picked Anne up. She flew into, Switzerland. Picked her up, forgetting the name of it, and then we drove out we took the train to Brienz by way of Switzerland and stayed for 3 weeks in Brienz, and that included about 7 weeks. We had an Airbnb. About 3.5 weeks in Brienz on the water, and that was pretty good. That was an excellent spot for taking the train to different areas over those. I think we were there 17 days. A lot of hiking, and from there you can go everywhere in Switzerland. And then from there we went back to in Switzerland and flew out. I apologize. I'm looking right at it, but I can't name the name of the town. And we flew home. That was it. So
now, all the places you've gone to in Switzerland, are they all those little kind of cottage towns, or is there like a big kind of central hub? Kind of thinking like how Paris is for France, or Rome is for Italy, kind of like a big, like those towns to me are big metropolitan areas, and so there's a lot of cultural history kind of brought in, and there's
Zurich.
like you said, there's a lot of area to cover. The new parts of town from like all like because it's a modern country, and then you have like the old parts of the town where you have those little quaint and pretty little areas.
And
For most of the clips I've seen you guys watching in Switzerland, it's always these little itty bitty cottage towns. There's not much.
we flew in, and we
They're
flew out of Zurich. So I apologize, I couldn't get that in the lane. But we do like the Interlaken area. Brienz is along Interlaken, along Lake Brienz. And we have stayed at Interlaken previously. And you have to pick a jump-off spot. This year it was Brienz. 2 years ago it was Interlaken. And from there you can go to the Lauterbrunnen Valley. You can go up through all the big areas that people want to go to, which is they can go up through Wingen to the top of the hill. They can go over to Grindelwald, Gimmelwald, de Muren. There's a lot of areas you can hit from with the trains, the network, trains and gondolas to get all these beautiful areas we're talking about. And yeah, you can hit areas. This year from Brienz, we went up to Exalp. We loved Exalp. Never been there before, but it's a very small, quaint little town, ski resort town. And from there, we did some hiking that day and went out to a lake that was very nice with our hike. And it was nice. We went out to Hinterberg Sea Lake, which is about a 2.5 mile hike. I don't know exactly. And that was the day hike we went to. And so you can get these drop-off points and take off.
You got Mom to do a 2.5 mile hike?
Actually, yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it flat?
It was probably
bring the lake.
for a Swiss, that was a flat hike. It was probably a 500-foot elevation gain overall. And so for the Swiss, that's flat. For an American, that's high. So yeah, she did about a 2.5 miler. Bigger towns, we've stayed in bigger towns in Italy, but we usually stay in towns that are close to the areas we want to go to. We could have easily stayed in Bern. We could have stayed in Basel and gone to Basel areas. We did travel in Bern on this trip. But so those are things that we would travel to.
Sorry guys, I'm having technical difficulties. You're free to let me resolve them real quick.
We can wrap it up after this.
Okay. I just want to get your camera going. Yes, I know. It's scary. The battery is about to die.
That's why I shut you down.
It probably did because of that.
Put another battery in.
I don't have one. I just have the one. I'm going to get dummy loads after this. Because that one's shut down. This one's shut down.
Ah,
Okay, that
You're
one's
out.
shut down twice. I think there's like a record limit on it. I got to look at that one.
probably on both of them.
And then this one.
You're done.
Yeah. All right. Well, that one's still done.
So
That one's still done.
wrapping it up, highly recommend traveling to Europe. I think everybody should go if you can afford it. I like to go, and I recommend doing your own thing and not going with a tour and scheduling it yourself. And we love all the countries.
You get really good value, though. I don't know about that one. I would disagree. I push back. I've been to Jerusalem on a tour, and it was probably the coolest kind of historical, like, guided tour. Because I was on my Navy ship, and we just put our names on a list, and they put together for the sailors on the ship to kind of for morale purposes. They get these little historical tours, and so for no fee out of your pocket at all, they put together so you travel to like these little major areas, and they get the bus going. And so I did a full guided tour of Jerusalem. We went to like the little Wailing Wall. We went to the chapel where Jesus was put on the cross. We kind of walked the little streets areas and a tour guide. So there can be really good value. I mean, that's a particularly interesting one historically. And so if you're not the kind of person to kind of want to do the work of like digging in, and sometimes it's nice to have like the insider knowledge, but like Rome, I don't think you need a tour guide there. There's like, you just walk around Rome and you're going to stumble across the Vatican. It's near impossible to kind of find stuff.
You are right. There are value in tour guides. And so everybody has to figure out what their comfort level is. Let's put it that way.
It is an expense that can, if you're looking to save money, I would cut that tour guide first and just kind of
They have
do the research
day
yourself.
tour guides. You can go daily, and you can hire tour guides to show you around if that's what you want. And everybody has to figure out what their comfort level is.
Yeah.
In particular, for me, our comfort level is we do our own thing, and we don't use the tour guides. And we travel to these spots with myself and the wife.
Yeah.
And I enjoy certain aspects of that. I am landscape photography centric.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to avoid crowds. So I like to have the freedom to go when I need to go. And the tour guides are typically during the day,
The calendar to keep
and they want you to tell you where you're going to go and what you're going to see.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but I do have a tendency to want to get away from them. And that they like to keep their tour people together so they don't lose anybody.
There's
And
a little
I'm
flow to it.
the errant person that wants to run out and take his own pictures, and they don't like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They want to keep everybody together, and so that's the difference. So
There are trade-offs.
I do my own thing, and I take the pictures, and in particular, I like to get up early in the morning and late in the evening for a sunset shot or a morning shot. And so I do miss some of the historical perspective that they provide, but it gives me more latitude to take pictures off hours, and so that's it. Finishing this up, I would highly recommend looking at doing your own thing and going to Europe. And if you do go, explore looking at taking the trains and getting a Euro pass and going to the sites that you want to go. And the big tourist sites are fantastic, but you had mentioned a lot of these little sites, little towns that have historical perspective also that are worth visiting. So I'd highly recommend going.
For those people, my tip for those people more like me, I'm kind of like the wing it traveler when I was all in these towns. So I just picked like a random day, picked a random train, go to a big destination. But then you're like, well, where do you go from there? And so I was like, typically it was like my gut, like, well, let's go find food. And I start kind of combing around the town, trying to figure out where the people are going. But if you're doing that, one little trick for people, if you want to find a nice, cool destination to go, if you're lost, just find a train station, find a bus stop, look at the banner on the billboard. Typically, they'll have a map with little waypoints and like little images, kind of like you would see at like a mall or something. Hey, or like a flyer. Hey, here's the thing. And so if you go to the little bus stops or the banner, they'll show you the name of something, and then that'll help you get you to your bus destination, your tag. It'll get you like the name of stuff to find if you find yourself in a quaint village and you haven't quite figured out like, well, what's there to do here of interest? Like, oftentimes the town will promote the best, most interesting things. You just got to look around. And the easiest way to do that, if you're can't figure out where to go in the area, find the bus stop. It'll have some kind of advertising.
Nice.
Right there. That was one little trick I picked up on. I was like, hey, what is that building? That looks kind of cool. Let's go there. And then you're like, oh, that's over here. It's a block away. Cool.
And
then you go get lost walking a block.
And also the information centers, a fantastic resource. If you're looking to go to what is important in the town, the information tourist office will provide you with a map, and they will provide you with details of how to get there.
You're leaving the train station right there.
Find the tourist station. I've used them in Chamonix, I've used them in Paris, I've used them all over. And they will highlight what is available and what you can go see. They're trying to promote their town. So highly recommend the tourist office. So anyways, I appreciate you letting me talk about my adventures today. Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. I got nothing else. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. That was good. I note that